is the right thing to do? Well, flying, of course, said the heron. Having fun all the time, laughed the monkey. Fighting, barked the dog, and rushed away. So Nikolai thought for a long while. He loved his friends. He knew they were trying their best to help him answer his question, but their answers did not seem quite right. Have you ever been there? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so then an idea came to him. I know, he thought, I will ask Leo the turtle. He has lived a very long time. Side note, this is how my child now talks about how old I am, right? You are old. So that's thinking about the turtle, right? He's lived a long time, and surely he will know the answers I am looking for. Fly up the mountain alone, and when Nikolai arrived, he found the turtle digging in the garden. Digging, do you think that was easy for an old turtle? No, digging was hard. And so Nikolai said, I have 3 questions I came to ask your help. Is the best time to do things? I just need to know. And Leo listened carefully, but he only smiled. Then he went on with his digging. Now Nikolai watched for a moment, and then he said, You all the rows were finished. But as he finished, the wind started blowing wildly, and rain burst from the darkened clouds, and they moved toward the turtle's cottage for shelter. And then suddenly Nikolai heard a cry for help. I didn't even have a sign for that one. Good job. And then running down the path, he found a panda whose leg had been injured by a fallen tree. So carefully, Nikolai moved the panda. This isn't real first aid here, so please forgive me. He didn't do all the checks. And, he moved the stick, picked up the panda, right? And then took him back to Leo's house, made a splint out of bamboo for the leg, and the storm raged on, banging the windows and doors. Let's hear that storm. Ooh, that was quite a storm. Okay. And Leo, the turtle, smiled at what Nikolai had done. So the next morning, the sun was warm, the birds sang, the whole 9 yards, all was well with the world. The panda's leg was healing nicely, and she thanked Nikolai for saving her. And at that moment, the heron and the monkey and the dog arrived to make sure everyone was all right. Nikolai felt at peace with himself. He had wonderful friends. He saved the panda. But deep down, he also felt some disappointment. He still had not found the answer to his 3 questions. So as kids do sometimes, he went back up to the turtle and he asked one more time. We're not going to do that. Yeah. The little turtle looked at the boy, but your questions have already been answered, he said. They have? The boy. Let's hear that one. They have? Yeah, okay, let's hear it. Yesterday, if you had not stayed to help garden, you wouldn't have heard the panda's cry for help in the storm. Therefore, the most important time is the time you spent digging the garden. The most important one, that was me, and the most important thing to do was to help me with the garden. Now later, when you found the injured panda, the most important time was the time you helped her and spent mending her leg. The most important one was the panda, and the most important thing to do was to take care of her and make her safe. But that's 2 answers. How is that the answer to the question? Okay, one last time. Let's see if we can really do this. Remember then, the only one important time is the time that is now. When? The time that is now. The most important one is always the one you, maybe physically, maybe alongside in fighting for issues, yeah? And the most important thing to do is good for the one whom you are standing with. For these, my dear boy, are the answers to what is most important in the world. This is why we are here. So, over your challenge this week is to remember the 3 questions and then to ask them. So, I'm going to start the challenge now. We are going to have more time. When? Right now. Children and youth. When? Head to class. The end.
This week, Share the Plate is the Doorways. I hope. Formerly, the Hospitality House. Today's 501 station is a hospital hospitality house that provides lodging for patients and their families who need to travel to Richmond to be close to hospitals but not far from the feeling of home. The Doorways operates in a former hotel in downtown Richmond with 117 guest rooms, 150 guests per night. The organization does not charge their guests, request a $15 a night donation. 20% of the guests cannot afford to contribute. Community support makes their stay possible during a difficult time. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Jonathan. Since we don't have a video yet, we're going to pretend that I said this before we collected, and if anyone needs the plate back, raise your hand. Please join us in our offering and acknowledging all the ways we give to this church and this world. We value what it does. This is our church, and we value what it does for us, to us, and through us, to our community and our world. There is an offering. Let us know if you want to add to it to sustain and grow the life and mission of this church inside and outside our walls. Ooh, we have a video. So that they don't have to stand up and see what you said. Let us know if you'd like to add
I would describe it not only as a place where people can rest after they visit their
Does anybody need
family
text
here at the
instructions since
hospital,
they're not?
but also a place where they, of course, can get now
for your
breakfast
offering
and
and all the
lunch
ways
and
that you
dinner,
give
and
to our
all of the
life
staff
and ministry
are
with your
very
time,
friendly,
for your offering and
and
all
they
the
help
ways that you
people.
give to our
They don't
life
turn
and
them
ministry
away.
with your
Together,
time,
our
talent,
gifts allow us
treasure,
Well, if I had
and
to
faithfulness.
describe it to someone, I would tell
Together,
them
our
that
gifts allow us to expand
it's a
and
place to come
strengthen the
to
tapestry
rest
of
and
love,
recuperate.
wonder, and
Because
connection
when you
that
leave the
blesses
hospital,
this
you're
church
still
and
the doorway's
transforms
being
us
here,
and our
just
world.
4 blocks
Our
from the
reading
hospital.
this morning,
It's
our reading
fantastic.
this river
I mean, I could
cannot
walk
is The
there.
River Cannot Go Back by Khalil Gibran. It is said that before entering the sea, a river trembles with fear. She looks back at the path she has traveled from the peaks of the mountains, the long, winding road crossing forests and villages, and in front of her, she sees an ocean so vast that to enter there seems nothing more than to disappear forever. But there is another way. The river cannot go back. No possible existence. The river needs to take the risk of entering, then fear disappear, because that's where the river will know it's not about disappearing into the ocean, but of becoming the ocean.
Thank you for that beautiful music. Action or not take action, or take a new view. Today I'm going to start out with one that is chasing waterfalls. Please stick to the resonance that you're used to. Recognize this is the core. I'm a weirdo, and if you want to be my lover, you got to get with my friends. I'm to do a deep dive into Gen X cultural references, or all the reasons we are who we are. The reason I borrowed these words is that there's something I can't get out of my head about them lately. Something timely now about rivers that you're used to. Some of you may know that my child and I moved here from, and when we arrived, I kept hearing people talk about going to the river. I thought, do all these people have river homes? What on earth are they talking about going to the river? I lived in quite a few other cities in the world that have a river at that phrase as if it was a complete activity. It took me different things. But underlying all of the collective fishing, rock hopping, music listening, beer drinking, paddling, hammock swinging, swimming, wading, walking of the dogs, biking, sunning, throwing rocks, of a relationship, of spending quality time at the river as a conduit, as centripetal. Since the past 7 years, I too have grown into some days I would even describe it as I go down and talk to it. Of course, I full body. This sermon, the one I'm giving you now, time, on my observations of questions I asked. In April, I presented an art video piece at the Harvard Divinity Conference filled with artists. I made the foreseeable future, any art that I choose to make will be to the river. Been part of me for a couple years now, too. Today with exposed rocks, later today beating hot sun, tomorrow the water is fully brown and covers everything. My first sermon using the river centers around change as a constant, around Bruce Lee's famous quote, "Be water." Maybe I'll get to share that one with you someday. He was talking about a way of embodied thinking that allowed for greater freedom, flexibility, speed, and responsiveness. How can we live that way outside of the martial arts as well? How can we be in change? Often, when away from the river and thinking about it, I swell with questions. Where are the places of gathering, of processing, of organizing? Where does hope reside? So I'm in research mode, observing, writing, asking questions, looking up and trying to learn water words, perusing maps and how they're drawn, hearing how people talk about the river. What is the river anyway? For years to come, I imagine I'll be exploring this, gleaning more just by being in proximity to this old, old wisdom. Recently, I was given a bicycle, something I haven't had since Alaska, and it has filled me with gratitude and joy. Talk about a powerful feeling of freedom, the ability to move that fast in the open air while sitting down. It makes me grin like a kid. I rode it down to the river by one of the sloughs, suddenly barely moving. And on the other side of the trees, I could hear the rushing of the water after all the rain. That feeling of the river in the near distance and the imperceptible speed of the slough. Even when the water is stagnant or hidden, it is nourishing the banks which hold and give shape to the river itself. There's both feed and carving, transmission between the water and the soil and the roots that give it structure. There's action on the rocks, which keep the river itself contained, bounded, and able to be what it is. That container and the banks, the structure allows the water to wear over and over the same path, while the individual molecules of the river are in these powerful hydrogen bonds with each other, going along with each other, pulling, pushing, changing things over time, even the hardest stones. That cohesion, the water molecules sticking to each other, while we take it for granted, how do such deep bonds come to exist? They're just a fact. What will help us navigate times like this week that we can learn from the tiniest things sticking to each other? Here's one way to look at this, and it's only one way. You may have to go ask the questions and listen in for yourself. This river that we are used to shows all of us the importance of our own containers and our own all. We all belong to groups, this church, your family, our colleagues, where we live. And there are so many more that we may not even see as part of our own banks. Postal route, the people who use the same mechanic. What are your well-worn channels? Where are you in the water, and who else is there? In a time when we are inundated with information continually, forcefully, that plies us with urgent demands on our care, our attention, our action, when we watch acts of genocide across the world and people, either by our withdrawal of support or by bombs, when many people here and abroad are called on to be in layers upon layers of navigating moral complexity in order to survive, and people on our soil that we all share are rounded up and disappeared, we are swimming in existential threats, active existential threats. For some people, more precipitous than others. We are now 2 generations in with young adults in a world where climate is not a fundamental fact of feel like we think to address all of the now. Get out there, fix it. No. And sometimes that is true for us. We need to put that. We know an organization with time to, or we have neighbors who need. We know we are meant to be floundering, trying to address things we have no contact with in our day-to-day and carrying on as usual. Here's the thing I want to say, and it may not be easy to hear. You cannot control it. You cannot fix it. This is going to be a long fight. We are going to be here a while. It's going to be a longer fight than you may think because it is a continuation of fights that have never ceased. This time is going to demand of us that we move intentionally and from our own sacred locations. It will demand that we bond to those around us in order to change the hardest stones. Do not wear yourself thin. Our job is to start where we are, and we need you. Maybe for you, starting is in paralysis or overwhelm. Maybe you're already exhausted or terrified or beyond furious. Maybe you have momentum. Where are you? And if you don't know, start by turning to your neighbors. Who are they? What do they care about? I mean your neighbors in every conceivable way. Who do you live next door to? Who do you spend time online with? Where do you overlap, even if the differences are huge? Do the difficult thing and find those places of overlap. Where do you connect? Maybe you both like donuts. Donuts is often a good place to start. Unless they don't need gluten, and then you get them gluten-free donuts. Who are the people you see every day? In the median, at the bus stop, at the 7-Eleven where you buy your gas? What are their names? Maybe you start with good morning. These are the rivers we are used to. These are the bonds that already exist. If we can make them plain and truly show care, it's only through doing this cellular level work that we will have the ability to organize, to say something other than no. But so is the ask. So are the actions that move us towards an alternative. It is not enough to say no. You have to listen to what the water all around is telling you. Listen to the people who have been organizing and studying, and those who know what must come next to divert or block or stem the flow. Then we can begin building structures within and just ways, coalesce around new ways of being. One of my favorite legends, Bayo Akomolafe, recently wrote, "We won't find the future. We'll feel for it barefoot with stories for souls," talking about his feet. And maybe, just maybe, in the midst of smoke and myth, we'll learn that sanctuary is not a place but a practice, a way to become with a world that is never not broken. Sanctuary is not a place but a practice. We will feel for the future barefoot. In age-old symbolic representations of rivers, they can mean a transition space, a liminal, or a medium of the collectus, be embedded in that flow, things that emerge from the depths of all of us to give shape to our lives. And if we think about being in the river and bonded to each other at a molecular level, at a you are my neighbor and my human kin level, those other water people, the groups we are connected to, already change us, and we form them as we go. We help them emerge. We throw mud up around that root, create and reroute the containers that we need to be who we are as humans. The practice of freedom can be in choosing which structures we lean into, help to form, feeling them with our feet. There's one more thing I want to draw out about the rivers and the lakes that we're used to. One more ripple out from the disturbance. So often we don't look at what is directly in front of us. Not just not seeing the people we may see every day or avoiding repairs we may need to make or that pile of laundry over there in the corner. We have to look without our schema, our preconceived understandings. We have to look for ourselves. What is really there? What is true? We can't this truth in the here and now, in material reality. This is the truth that lies in our connections to other living creatures and to the places we inhabit. In that mysterious and miraculous transmission between you and me. Right here, really here, is the place of the divine. This, right here, right now, is where spirit or meaning or the universe is revealed to us. In all of you. And all around you. In something as small as a good morning. Or a donut. So for the rest of this season, however long that may last, it is your sacred duty to spend time in these rivers with your neighbors. Who are they really? What is the truth of today? You cannot solve the problems that are thousands of miles away by only focusing there. Do not pass up a chance to sit and have coffee with your loved one in favor of reading the news. Do not pass up the chance to care for a child at home while others are taking bigger action. Do not pass up a chance to look at that bird that you've been seeing out of the corner of your eye twice this week, and maybe it's even annoying you. Do not avoid tending to your plants, your laundry, your own health, your elders in favor of despair or a need to know more. When that new person moves in next door, bring them donuts. Find the places of your already existing bonds and deepen them, while meeting complexity with curiosity and gratitude. Find the places where the joy can creep in despite gray and uncertainty and even terror. All of these things are important. We cannot build the new containers to support the kind of world we want to live in without our own power and meat. Sanctuary is a practice, and we will feel for the future barefoot together. Amen. Please rise in body or in spirit for our closing hymn, Leah, number 1020 in your teal hymnal. Oh, yeah. Wait. Thanks to Charlene, teal hymnals are coming. That's 1000 is the number. You need lyrics there. We are going heaven, but we know within, and we will get there. No, we will get there, but we know. We did that today. Tech team for wrestling the whole time. In preparation for our closing, let us reach out to each other in whatever way you feel comfortable. When you go, don't forget to say good morning. Find the bonds that already exist and practice sanctuary. When you go, go in peace.
Leave this place knowing that you are good and knowing that you are loved. Blessed be.
Take your dark and your light and your water and your love from this place, share them with the world, and stay safe until we meet again. Amen.
Thank you you, everyone. Enjoy coffee hour and have a great week ahead.